So again, I can't emphasize enough how collective is important, however, through your uniqueness. The reason why collective isn't working right now is because everyone's doing their own thing, but at the same time, they're trying to just copy everybody else to fit in. Everyone wants the big house. Everyone wants the fast cars. Everyone wants, you know, the purse, the Louis Vuitton purse or whatever. Everyone's after the same thing, and this is why it's not working. It's just not going to work like that. We can't, make a purse for everybody. It's just not, we should all have individual, unique styles like that. Everything in the world becomes abundant because we become individuals. We become unique. And everything in nature is abundant. As long as you stick to nature, as long as you do what nature wants us to do, which is just live, just be. Again, all the cities, you just are. There's no effort. We're human beings, not human doings. We should do, definitely, but we should be more than we should do. So again, we should be more than we should do. Balance it out. Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's show, we're going to go over gene key number 10. We made it to number 10. Yay! Oh, that was fun. So, what did we learn? We learned that the city levels are all effortless. So if you have to do effort, you're still in the shadow level or gift level. But if you're just being yourself, and being yourself is being awesome, then you're at the city level. You don't have to do anything but be, and you've made it. You've made it to the top of all states of consciousness. So during our last show, we talked about gene key number 9. So a little recap for gene key number 9. So the shadow was inertia. The repressive nature of this shadow is reluctant. So basically you're reluctant. The word says it itself. You don't want to leave your comfort zone. You don't want to face your fears. You're buying time and you're basically reluctant. You're not putting the effort that needs to be put in order for you to go and hit the gift level, which is determination. So you're reluctant up until you're not anymore. And once you're determined, you come out of that shadow. If you're in the reactive side of this shadow, you're going to be diverted. So diverted means, you can't sit still. You probably don't have a very long attention span. You'll find anything and everything to distract you. These people mostly have financial problems because they're just escaping. They're, doing everything they can in order to avoid their shadows, avoid facing their fear. So what happens if you're diverted or reluctant? So once you see that these two shadows don't work for you, you're going to hit the determination. There's so much you can sit around or, avoid what needs to get done. So once you're determined, you have your goal, you have your purpose, and then you go for it. You go for it, you give it your all up until you become invincible. So the city of invincibility. The city of invincibility is basically you're determined to such a point where you become whatever you're meant to become. So let's say if you're painting for 30 years, then you become Picasso. You become the Mozart. You become whoever you're meant to be, and then you become invincible. You're so determined you're invincible. The effort doesn't have to be there anymore. You become the energy. You become the energy of the determination and you just are. It's a little bit harder to explain. That's why in the last gene key, the city level, I just read it. I didn't explain it because I'm not at that city level. So it's not like, oh, I can let you know exactly what invincibility is. I'm not invincible. I wish I was, but I'm not invincible. So I wouldn't be able to explain in my own words what invincibility is because I'm not there. So the book's definition is the best. And again, the cities, you don't need any effort. You don't need any effort, you just are. So look at determination. If you're determined for a very long time, then you just become invincible. People don't even know you're there anymore. You're invisible. You're invisibly small but yet as powerful as an atom. So you're not there anymore. You're so invincible, inventissimo. You're so invincible that you're invisible. You're no longer there. But your energy is extremely powerful, and your energy is condensed in that invincibility. So energy is definitely there. Just you're not anymore. Now today we're going to go over gene key number 10. I'm sorry about the lights. It's a little darker. I had a few appointments this morning, but now I'm dedicated and I'm ready. So let's do this. Gene key number 10. The shadow is self-obsession. Self-obsession is the shadow. And I know we can all relate to this somehow, implicitly, explicitly. Maybe you know somebody that's self-obsessed. Maybe you are self-obsessed. But hey, we're going to learn it's actually a good thing to be self-obsessed, because you have to be self-obsessed to go hit the gift level. So let's start. The 10th shadow, self-obsession. The mazy pathways of the self. As one of the keystones of human individuality, the 10th gene key and its frequency bands point towards one of the deepest of all human issues, the notion of self-love. This intangible force within human beings begins life here in the 10th shadow, where it brings continual focus on your own immediate environment, which is your body. This is one of the most primitive of all aspects and archetypes within the human genome. At its shadow frequency, it tightens all your life force and forces it inward, which in the long run makes it one of the most mystical of the 64th shadows. It is here that the individual journey towards awakening and transcendence truly begins. However, this genetic centripetal force excludes other beings from your immediate concern and attention. In early hominids, this 10th shadow ensured individual survival since it put the safety of its own vehicle before anything else. I'm sorry if there's noise in the background. I have two mics, so hopefully I'll be able to filter it out, and if not, I apologize. Once the evening starts, there's a big party here. There's the ice cream truck right now, and then there's cars passing by with like some reggaeton music. I love reggaeton. And then, you have some kids playing on the street. So I closed this window, but I have another window that's open. So again, I apologize if it's noisy, but at least it's kids having fun and it's ice cream trucks. So who doesn't want to hear that? In humanity, to see a person give his or her life for another or for a higher cause is to see this 10th shadow transcended, as its prime purpose is to put oneself first. In our modern world, the 10th shadow still governs us on a collective level, even though it is showing signs of awakening today. The emphasis of the 10th shadow is on the individual, which can be both a blessing and a curse. Individual differentiation is the cornerstone of evolution itself. If we humans do not discover our own identity and uniqueness, we cannot transcend it and move our society to a higher level. The blessing is that the more different we each allow ourselves to be, the more we operate as a unity. This is one of the most beautiful of all human paradoxes, that only through our very diversity can we arrive at our unity. And it's beautiful and it's true, because if we're all the same, then it doesn't matter anymore. It's boring, it doesn't matter, you're like the same person. However, diversity, if you embrace your uniqueness, if you cherish and celebrate what makes you different from everybody else, then that makes you very powerful, because now you have a gift that nobody has. Now you have something that nobody can duplicate in this world. And not only that, just like the X-Men's, right? I always believed the X-Men's were real. So let's say I have a certain power, and then, that person has a certain power, and then someone else has a certain power. If we all come together, imagine how strong we will be. And this is why, just like how your body needs to all work together, like if your brain says, you know what, I'm taking a break this week, it's not going to happen. Everything else will fall apart. If your heart says, I just need 1 hour, come on, I've worked so hard, I just need an hour break. Give me an hour break. You're going to die. It's not going to happen. So your body is a multitude, it's a cosmos of different individual, unique atoms that are there doing their own thing. Now, if they're all doing their own thing, that's how we get to be so powerful. We get to be who we are. We get to manifest exactly our life because of that. Now, if they would individually work differently, it's no more in harmony. We're no longer synced and we're going to perish. So it's exactly the same thing with our behavior. If you act like everybody else, you're going to be mediocre. One of our previous gene keys. But if you act like yourself and you're authentic and you know that your gift, nobody else can duplicate that in itself is power. That in itself means you figured it out. You figured out who you are, and now you can know who to team up with to become very powerful. And that's where it becomes unity. That's where we all become harmony manifests and everything goes smoothly because we're all on the same direction. We're all going towards the same direction, and therefore we're powerful as unity. So again, I can't emphasize enough. Individual people are very important to be unique, not collectively like everybody else. Just be yourself, be unique, do whatever makes you stand out as your true authentic genius, as your true gift. On a collective level, this individuation, this individual unique gift that we have, collectively, it's power. Collectively, nothing can stop it. Just like a fourmi. How do you say a fourmi? An ant. When you see one ant, doesn't stand a chance. Doesn't stand a chance. But 100 ants come in this room, I'll leave the room. No problem. I am leaving the room. I am not staying here. I am leaving the room. If 100 of them show up. So again, I can't emphasize enough how collective is important, however, through your uniqueness. The reason why collective isn't working right now is because everyone's doing their own thing, but at the same time, they're trying to just copy everybody else to fit in. Everyone wants the big house. Everyone wants the fast cars. Everyone wants, the purse, the Louis Vuitton purse or whatever. Everyone's after the same thing, and this is why it's not working. It's just not going to work like that. We can't, make a purse for everybody. It's just not, we should all have individual, unique styles like that. Everything in the world becomes abundant because we become individuals. We become unique. And everything in nature is abundant. As long as you stick to nature, as long as you do what nature wants us to do, which is just live, just be. Again, all the cities, you just are. There's no effort. We're human beings, not human doings. We should do, definitely, but we should be more than we should do. So again, we should be more than we should do. Balance it out. If you see that you're doing more than you're being, then that's your measurement tool to adjust yourself. As long as you're doing more than you're being, know that you're productive. If you're being more than you're doing, more than you're, tell yourself, maybe I'm more on a spiritual path, I'm more in my head. But some people are just really manifesting physically, and some people are more calculative. So there's a balance for everything, and there's a time for everything. Just measure yourself and see, you know what, I've been super productive so far, let me just be and relax. Or I've slacked off for years, let me now focus on something that I love and I want the world to also benefit from. Whatever that is for you, because there's no one rule for everybody. The only one rule for everybody is evolution. And the only constant in life is change. That's something we used to say at SpaceX all the time. The only constant is change. So if you're not changing, something's wrong. So again, embrace change and embrace your uniqueness. Work on your uniqueness. The blessings is that the more different we each allow ourselves to be, the more we operate as a unity. This is one of the most beautiful of all human paradoxes, that only through our very diversity can we arrive at our unity. But there are forces that tug against evolution, and these forces coming from within keep us from experiencing our true uniqueness. The programming partner of the shadow is the 15th shadow of dullness. And since this 15th shadow conceals a fear of being different, it shuts you down at a collective level. So why are we scared of being different? So this comes from our ancestors, and this is, a huge talk in our spiritual world that, you had to fit in back in the tribe mentality. So like that, they don't kick you out. Although I'm pretty sure if you were unique, they would still not kick you out. But I wasn't there, so I can't prove it to you. But if you didn't fit in, if you didn't listen to, let's say, the leader, if you didn't, suck up to the leader or that expression, brown nose him or her, you would get kicked out. You would have to obey by the rules if you want to eat. You have to obey by the rules if you want to be part of the community. You have to obey by the rules if you want to reproduce. If you want girls to like you, guys to like you, let's say, right? So because of that, we've been just mimicking everything we see because we want to play by the rules. So now I'm not saying don't play by the rules, definitely, but now tell yourself who made the rules. If it's man-made, then think about it. Let's say if you go to a corporation and they say, in this company, you can't smile. I'm sorry. There's just no smiling in this company. It's up to you if you want to, obey that rule or not. If you want to be part of the company, for sure, don't smile. Just do whatever you got to do. But if you want to smile, then say, you know what? I don't like your rule. I'm sorry. I'm going to go somewhere else where I like their rule better. And then you just do that until you come up with your own rule. Now, what I say, the rules of the universe, the laws of the universe you listen to because they're the laws of the universe. Like, don't hurt anybody, don't kill anything. Life is the whole purpose. Life should thrive. Do everything in your power to help life thrive. Like the 10 Commandments or the 7 Hermetic Principles. To me, those laws are the laws that we should listen to. And it's not like, it said do not kill, but I think, these animals we can kill and those animals we shouldn't. Then you just started making up your own rule again. That's not how that works. It's the basic rules, very general, very, very general, don't hurt anybody. How general do you want that to be, And just obey those. And then again, if a man or a woman says, you know what, let me play with these rules a little and tweak them, then it's up to you if you want to believe them or not, or if you want to follow those rules or not. The 15th shadow makes us into lemmings that follow the crowd, thus allowing our uniqueness to be overwritten. Just as the 15th shadow puts your attention on everything, but your own uniqueness, the 10th shadow does the opposite. It makes you obsessed with your own uniqueness and how to find it and follow it. This is why, you know what? It's actually good if you're obsessed with yourself. Then you should be like, hey, let me look into myself and see every aspect of who I am. And let me just be obsessed with it until I either change the parts that I don't like or improve them or just accept them. Self-obsession. Thus, in the world today, we can see 2 main types of people, those who follow the crowd and those who try to escape the crowd at all cost. The 10th shadow does not and cannot consider anyone outside oneself. Through this shadow, you become so self-obsessed that you no longer see or hear the feelings of those around you. This makes it very difficult for other people to relate to you, even though you may feel that you can relate to them. Even though you may have many relationships, the truth is that you really don't have enough space within your psyche for the concept of others. Everything and everyone is viewed through your own subjective projection field, and this loss of objectivity can lead to only one result. It creates havoc in all your relationships. Through the lens of the 10th shadow, all you see when you look at others is people you would like to change. Thus, you find it extremely difficult to accept anyone else for their uniqueness. In psychology and psychiatry, such self-obsession is known as narcissism, and in moderation, it is considered to be an essential component of a healthy psyche. However, at the shadow frequency, such narcissism, like the legend it is derived from, keeps human beings endlessly trapped by their own reflection. Ironically, the more of an expert you become in the subject of the lower self, the further away you travel from your higher self. The self-obsession of the 10th shadow is driven by fear, and it is a very specific unconscious fear. It is the fear of losing your identity. As one of the deepest of all human fears, this fear forces you into a pattern of trying to find out who you are in order that you might find some kind of permanent definition in life. This quest for your true identity is the greatest quest there is. It is an ageless journey of self-knowledge epitomized in famous axiom cut into the stone above the door of the oracle in Delphi, know thyself. That's a great podcast. I love watching Know Thyself. I also love Next Level Soul with Alex Ferrari. These two podcasts are my favorite top podcasts, and I highly recommend everyone to watch them because for sure you're going to learn something, you're going to take away something, guaranteed. However, at the low frequency of the shadow level, this quest for self-knowledge becomes an obsession that actually keeps you from defining who and what you are. In your thirst to escape your fear, you create a journey that has no end, filled with drama and adventure perhaps, but ultimately one in which you never have to face yourself. This is the craft of the 10th shadow. It tricks you into chasing the shadow of your own reflection, and your very journey towards your true nature becomes your own net. In the modern Western world, self-obsession is everywhere. People are obsessed with how they feel and how they look, with what they wear, what they own, and where they live. As long as you are looking at yourself, you cannot see around you, and there is the rub. Until you come to recognize your own self-obsession, you cannot transcend it, which is why it is necessary evil. All inner journeys begin with self-obsession, and it can truly become an endless labyrinth. Even when self-obsession takes the form of a spiritual search, it can become a trap. Fact, in many ways, the spiritual search for truth that is gripping so many individuals in our Western world today is the greatest self-obsession of all. The path itself easily becomes an addiction that keeps you from truly being yourself. The more you look for your own true identity, the more ephemeral it becomes. All circular paths do eventually arrive at a breakthrough. Those who tread the path of self-knowledge, the ancient Chinese name for this 10th hexagram of the I Ching is treading, will eventually escape the treadmill once they realize that what they are seeking cannot be found. This is a spontaneous revelation that can occur only when you have been well and truly lost in the mazy pathways of the self. No one can say how long it will take for such a revelation to dawn since it differs from individual to individual, but it cannot be faked. The true revelation that comes through the 10th shadow leads inevitably to the creative explosion that emerges through the 10th gift, the gift of naturalness. So the repressive side. What happens if you're manifesting this at the shadow level, but internally you're repressing it? You're not explicit about it. You're not extroverted about it. You're introvert about it. So if you're introvert about it, you become self-denying. So this self-obsession becomes self-denying. The introverted nature of the shadow of self-obsession is to deny oneself altogether. This kind of reversal of the energy of self-obsession becomes entirely centrifugal and focuses on everything and anything but oneself. These are people whose lives are lived for others and through others. However, such martyrdom does not have a positive spin and cannot serve evolution. These lives are made up entirely of compromise, in which those who deny themselves become like zombies for the collective. Although this kind of language may sound shocking, a huge majority of the world population lives like this, with no real self-love and no true center or heart within themselves. These people are the prime targets for the great world religions. Their self-denial does not allow them to recognize the divine within themselves, finding it far easier to project such an authority outside them. The reactive nature. So what happens if you're expressing this extrovertly? You're in the shadow of self-obsession and you're extrovert about it. you become narcissistic. And that's a that's a word a lot of people are using lately, narcissistic, narcissism. So that's the reactive side of this shadow. When the self-obsessive force is externalized through the reactive nature, it becomes truly narcissistic in the sense that it excludes all others. Just as the repressive nature denies its own existence, the reactive denies the existence of others. These are people whose lives are based entirely around themselves. The fear within them lives as anger. They project their fear of losing their identity onto others and onto society in general. Such people cannot yield any part of themselves to others. They live in paranoia that the world or others will somehow rob them of their right to freedom. The reactive nature finds relationships the hardest of all, since they are essentially locked in a love affair with themselves, but not with their true selves. The true self is everywhere and in everything, since its nature is love. To realize such a concept, one has to drop the very thing that gives one the illusion of safety, the illusion of the individual identity. The 10th gift, the gift of naturalness. So once you're in the shadow of self-obsession, you try to find out who you are, what you like, who Sarah is, who so-and-so is. Once you're over it, once you kind of figure out all this personality is a personality. It's made out of a bunch of codes, and therefore I'm acting out this behavior. So once you're done acting out either through the repressive or the reactive, you become naturally yourself. Naturalness, the gift of naturalness. How beautiful. Living your own myth. The gift of naturalness is a gift that awaits within every single human being. Is the center of your own being, and only through this center can you express your own creative uniqueness. The life of every individual human being is a journey through the frequencies of this 10th gene key. To be natural means to be yourself. We are all trying to be who we are, but many of us have been conditioned to be other than who we are. It has been this way throughout our history, ever since we began to develop the complex neocortex. The moment the mind was equipped to reflect on itself, the primal question, who am I, was born. To this question, human beings did live in the state of naturalness, but only in the sense that they were more a part of the animal kingdom and had not yet fully developed into Homo sapiens. Even so, it is still interesting how much we can learn about this 10th gift through the animal kingdom, whose normal state is naturalness. The human journey, of course, is unique and is obviously different from that of the animals. We have to solve the conundrum of having a mind that can look at itself. The primal question, who am I, has to be answered before the gift of naturalness can once again be realized. So this is why self-obsession is not that bad. Because you have to see who you are. You have to be obsessed with yourself in order to see who you are, in order to be like, okay, you know what? It's better for me to just be natural. But you have to, go through that labyrinth of who you are to know what natural is, because we're all born natural and get it kicked out of us. So if we get it kicked out of us, then we have to go find it. There are so many paradoxes in this 10th gift. The main one being that you cannot be who you are as long as you think you are someone. But you still have to set off and search for this someone in order to realize that they do not exist. There is much tension inherent in this simple little question, who am I? And it is the releasing of this tension around your identity that is the essence of the 10th gift. The 10th gift of naturalness can dawn only when self-obsession exhausts itself. The first great revelation that comes from the journey into your own unique nature is that you cannot be defined by any kind of label. Once you understand that you are neither your name nor your action, feelings, thoughts, or belief, you realize that human nature is something far greater than you ever suspected. At the gift level of frequency, there is a huge releasing of energy through your being and out into your life as all attempts at defining who you are begin to subside. The usual manifestation of this energy is intense creativity coupled with a new sense of playfulness. You lose your sense of identity and simultaneously begin to feel centered in a wider context. The gift of naturalness cannot be practiced, copied, or systemized. It can only emerge through a rising sense of inner freedom and spaciousness. The sense of increasing ease and relaxedness in your life tends to follow an age-old archetypal sequence that appears to be universal. As we have seen, this process, which Jung called individuation, begins the question, who am I? This question, which may also appear in different guises, such as why am I here? Why am I doing this? Kickstarts a process of inner questioning about the purpose and meaning of your life. The second phase of becoming natural tends to be a deep inner questioning and questing in which you isolate yourself in some sense from your previous responsibilities and give time and space to understanding your own nature more. For most people, this phase lasts a long time, and it is also the phase during which most people become stuck in the lower frequency of self-obsession, falling in love with the endless quest of self-knowledge. At a certain point, however, this phase gives way to a natural collapse and a subsequent letting go of all searching as you realize the futility of trying to find something that is clearly indefinable. This realization marks a huge transition point in your life and represents the release from your self-obsession. It can also be a very challenging time as you let go of all the constructs and techniques with which you may have identified and from which you derived security. Fortunately, this third phase swiftly becomes consolidated and integrated into your being, and you enter a new dimension in which you become more and more deeply relaxed. This fourth phase is something like a rebirth, as you externalize what is truly inside you for the first time in your life. It is a time of deep joyousness and purpose, and it is only as you find this sense of relaxedness that you begin once again to feel truly natural. The fifth and final phase of the process of becoming yourself manifests as the flowering of your individualized, differentiated self. This is when you hit the peak of your own mythology and bring something entirely new into the world based on the high principle that has always lain latent within you. This final flowering of your inner being manifests as a challenge to the current norm, since your true nature is always found at the cutting edge of evolution. The idea, whatever it may be, represents the true beauty within the individual finding expression in the world. So that's why you have to be naturally yourself. If you're trying, you're still putting effort. But to be yourself is just natural. And to be yourself means I can say the wrong thing. That's fine. Totally fine. It's not like, oh, I gotta watch everything I say. No. Say the wrong thing. Just give it a shot and see how that feels. Just make it natural though. Don't look for it. Say something. This food was bad. I'm sorry. It didn't taste good. It's natural. It is what it is. It didn't taste good. I wish it did, but it didn't. I'm naturally saying that this food didn't taste good. I'm not trying to be mean. Or should I just say, this food is lacking salt. This food is lacking salt. A little bit more salt, it would be perfect. Naturalness. You're not trying to do anything. You're just being honest and you're being yourself. Naturalness. So what happens if you're natural for a long time? You're just yourself for a long time. You've stopped acting, you've stopped being somebody, you're stopped having a persona, a personality. You just are yourself. What happens after that? The 10th city of being. You just are. Divine laziness. When the differentiated self has manifested its higher expression in the world through the 10th gift, one final surprise lies in store. There is a sixth phase to the process of becoming yourself that brings an end to the whole nation of self-knowledge. In a sense, it is a return to the stage before you ask the faithful question, who am I? The sixth phase is the 10th city of being. When the 10th city dawns in a human being, then for that person, even evolution itself has ended. In the 10th city, the differentiated self spontaneously dissolves in a higher mirror of the third phase in which the construct of your search for self-knowledge ends. However, at the Siddhic level, everything dissolves. Self, not self, mind, form, purpose, and meaning. The only word that even gives a hint of what the 10th siddhi holds is the word being. Expressions of the mystical traditions, this is sometimes known as the I am consciousness, although the very use of the word I can be misleading. In the 10th siddhi, there is no sense of I. There is only pure consciousness expressed as being. The 10th siddhi is destined to be deeply misunderstood by all those who do not live in its embrace. Along with its programming partner, the 15th siddhi of fluorescence, it inspires one of the great metaphysical paradoxes of all time. This paradox is well expressed through a phenomenon particular to Buddhism, that of arhats and bodhisattvas, the two externalized manifestations of the highest state of enlightenment or self-realization. Without getting weighted down in hefty Buddhist dogma, these two expressions of human perfection can be understood as representing being and becoming respectively. The arhat is the 10th siddhi representing pure being, a state in which evolution no longer exists or matters. For the arhat, once he or she is enlightened, the whole universe is also enlightened. So there is nothing more to be done. For the bodhisattva, who is the 15th siddhi, there is no end to life, which is continually evolving state of flowering. Thus, the bodhisattva takes a vow to deliberately hold back their enlightenment in favor of helping evolution complete itself in the form of guiding others towards the state of liberation. These two expressions of human perfection, arhat and bodhisattva, have caused a great deal of confusion in mystical circles. The way of being is represented strongly by the tradition of Advaita Vedanta, one of India's oldest spiritual streams. Through the 10th siddhi, a great lightness is born, and a great humor concerning life itself. To experience life through the 10th siddhi is to see everything that normal humans think of as important reduced to a game or illusion. To the arhat, life is meaningless, time is an illusion, and therefore illusion itself is a game. Because this viewpoint is generally viewed by the unenlightened as selfish and threatening to their ongoing identification with evolution, the arhat has been mostly eschewed in favor of the bodhisattva. Thus flow the politics of enlightenment. To those outside these states, they appear utterly contrary to one another, but to the being manifesting them, both poles are experienced together. The only differentiation between them is the language that the person uses to describe his or her experience or revelation. The arhat has nothing left to do in the world, whereas the bodhisattva has a deeply focused mission to help others. The 10th siddhi is truly a beautiful expression of consciousness coming through the human form. These are people whose awakening encompasses all existence. The intense focus on oneself that comes through the 10th gene key finally breaks its identification with form and experiences everything as self, with love as the fluid in which the multifarious aspects of the self are floating. You can see how easily misconstrued the message from this 10th siddhi can become, especially in today's world, in which we humans are being called to participate more and more in our evolution. The 10th siddhi is a reminder that it is all but a game, a lila or play, in which even our loftiest ambitions are ultimately meaningless. Obviously, if everyone held this view, evolution itself would stop in its track, since this view represents the ending of evolution. This tensity sees the beauty of the game of evolution, but has no alternative but to undermine it. Being undermines everything. It does not allow identification with anything outside the wonder of the present moment. To the person who has entered the mysteries of the 10th city, the two poles of being and becoming are one. It is their revelation to rest in the true nature of being, and at the same time bear witness to the effervescent flow form become more and more complex through evolution. The outer destiny of each person is governed by the primary gene keys that are genetically wired inside them. Thus, it is the primary city that determines the language and style of a particular enlightened manifestation. It is perhaps understandable then, and also a little sad, that the 10th city has been judged so unfavorably by metaphysicians for some time now. The powers that be do not want people to sit idly by and dream away their lives in the divine laziness of being. Yeah, so I don't know, have you ever noticed like somebody that doesn't have a job and doesn't really do anything and, doesn't contribute? To each their own, It's not up to me saying, hey, I worked so much, you got to work too. And no, not really. My path was to work a lot and I enjoyed it. I liked working. I didn't like staying at home. But now I like staying at home. This shows you that people change. When I was very young, I hated feta. Feta cheese. I thought it smelled like feet. Then in my teenage years, I got accustomed to it. We eat that every morning here. Not me, but, my family does. So I got used to it and I started loving it. Oh, with like calamati olives, I was like, this is the best. Now I'm back to hating it again. It's like, it's not my fault. The pathways of my labyrinth, my mythical labyrinth, is always evolving and changing. So it's not because I used to like it and now I don't like it. No, at some point I didn't like it and then I liked it. So who knows? Who knows why we are the way we are? So again, for the longest time, I thought working, productive, contributing is the thing to do as a human being. And now I can see that it's not. If you've done it and you don't want to do it anymore, then you don't have to. You can just relax. So is that bad? So each person, and this is why as a life coach, it is so important. There's no cookie cutter way of doing things as a life coach. So if you want to hire a really, really good life coach, first, forget about the certificate. Those are just fluff. It's, just impress people. I didn't want to put in a drawer. I worked so hard for them. So I framed it. But only, people question me. They think I'm like 20 years old. I'm not 20. I got 20 just on the wall there. But, again, to each your own. So if you want to find a good life coach, they have to give you a free call. They have to. This is non-negotiable. If they don't, get rid of them. There's a billion life coaches on Instagram. There's a billion life coaches on the web. I ended up closing my web page because there's no point. There's no point of having a web page, in my opinion, as a life coach. I can put you 50 testimonials of people that love me, and you know what? It is what it is. It's not enough, in my opinion. What you need as a life coach is someone that's going to listen to you, that's going to listen to what you want, what you don't want, what your goals are, what your goals are not, where you want to be, where you don't want to be, where you've been, where you don't want to go back. The life coach needs to understand who you are. Once they see who you are and they, interrogate you with questions and find out exactly who you are and why you are the way you are, then they can connect you with the image that you want. Because again, who you are is different and the image that you want is different. Some people just don't want to do anything. Some people just want to relax. What do you say to a person like that? If someone comes to my office and say, you know what, Sarah, I just want to relax. I'm tired of working. I'm not going to be like, well, you know what? That's because you didn't find your purpose. Once you find your purpose, you're going to know what you want to do and you're going to want to work 24 hours. No, that's not it. That's not it. If you don't want to work, then let's figure out how to do passive income. Let's figure out how we can maybe rent If you have a property, rent, part of your property so you can get income. Maybe you can do an Airbnb. There's many ways for someone to slack off if that's what they want. I know people, they just bought properties and they're just renting it out and they're not doing anything else other than collecting rent. So again, I thought you had to work hard to become someone. I've been told nothing comes for free. No, actually, there's a lot of stuff that comes for free. Those quieter days of the Arhats have been superseded. The modern day view that holds favor is that of the evolutionist. Today, we're obsessed by evolution. I know, because I was for like the longest time, and I still am, so I guess I gotta get over myself. By where it is taking us and whether we can control our own direction as a species. At times of potential crisis, like the time we're moving through today, being is seen as doing nothing. If we were to survive the next few centuries, there are things we must do. To the one within the 10th city, there has never been anything to do because there is no one to do it. So why all the fuss about our future? Being is the nature of consciousness in form, and it has no agenda or direction. It simply is. In this simple statement lies a power beyond all comprehension, and it established the 10th city as the sleeping giant within the human genome. Nothing has more power than being itself. We would each do well to remember the nature of being that rests behind all the dramas of the world in our individual lives. To rest unattached in the supreme state of being, while at the same time participating in the adventure of our evolution, is quite possibly the greatest task that the humans of the future will have to master. So basically, we have to learn how to juggle doing and just being. So just like a flower is, right? A flower is just there doing its thing. And then the bee comes and takes the pollen out and goes away. The flower just is there. It's not acting. It's not trying to close itself. It's not trying to shoo the bee away. It's not trying to, oh, it's too much sun. Let me go this way. No, the flower is flowering. It's doing its thing. So just like humans, we should just be. The reason why we cannot be is because we're stressed out. We have a million things going in our brains. We think we should be a certain way. We think we should act a certain way. And therefore, this is all not letting us be naturally ourselves. So when you're self-obsessed and either repressive or reactive, it doesn't matter. You eventually find out that you are consciousness. You're not that person anymore. You're like, like Jim Carrey said, there's no Jim Carrey. There's no Sarah. We're all just consciousness. So once you're done fighting your persona, you're fighting your personality, fixing your little flaws and your bugs. Once you're done trying to do all that and look for knowledge and for information and for the purpose of life and who we are and where we come from, you eventually find out that you can't answer these things. So you just sit in your naturalness of being. And if your naturalness of being is an entropy, let's say, if you just want to chill, then just chill. And if your being says, no, 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 I want to go, go, go. I want, there's things I want to do. I want to go to Burning Man and I want to try this and try that, let's say, then go. But then go be yourself at these places. Go be yourself at these events. And you'll see eventually you won't even have to go to these events. I went to these events. I've done all those and I don't have to go another time, a second time, a third time. I'm pretty sure if the pathway opens up and I, happen to get invited and everything's, set in motion for me, because I've set up for 3 days when I went to these things and it's not easy, although I had a great time. The first 3 days we're just building our yurt and our kitchen and our living room and our dance floor. We're just building. So if let's say someone says, hey, just want to tag along, I have no problem with that. But am I going to go out of my way to go buy a ticket and then go pack and then find a babysitter for my pets and then go through all this ruckus? No, I'm not, because it's just too out of my way. And I've already done it. So for me, if I've done it and I know what it is, then I can move on to the next experience. But again, to each your own. So the level of being, the level of naturalness is the best level. Again, the CDs are all the best levels, but it's the best level to be because there's no acting. You just are. Let's say I should definitely calm down and go slower. My mom says that all the time. So I should go slower and breathe in and take the moment in without having to meditate. Like I should just naturally be like that. And I'm trying to naturally be myself because I have expectations of myself. So I'm like, no, I got to get this done. Let's say I'm late. It's late. I got night lamps now out, but it's okay. I wanted to hit this early morning. I had a few calls I had to take care of, and therefore I didn't make it. So me being led me to do this at night. But then I can go a million miles an hour and say, no, I should have done this. I shouldn't. I should have booked this before. I should have prepared this. But yeah, well, I should have. It's coulda, woulda, shoulda. Ain't gonna happen. The fact is, this is what happened. And this is in the state of being. So the supreme state of being is the best. And again, when I first came to California, I thought it was weird that everyone would flake. Like you would text somebody, they wouldn't text back. You would invite somebody, they would say, yes, I'm coming. And then last minute something would happen, they would text you, I can't come. So in the beginning, I was really annoyed, especially coming from Montreal. I say, on the East Coast, you say something, you do it, right? You're going to be there at 10, you're going to be there at 10. You're going to be there at 9, you're going to be there at 9. You tell me you're going to come over, you're going to come over. This is how Montrealers think. It's like, how dare you not respect the schedule? So, but that makes no sense. When I came to California, I noticed nobody does that. I can tell you I'm committing to you, and you know what? If something happens, tough luck. Just how it is. And I actually prefer that. Again, it doesn't look normal to the rest of the world, but it's better to say, I'll let you know, and then let the person know, versus to commit and then you can't make it, right? It's like, oh, I'll let you know. I'll try my best. I'm sorry if you don't like this answer, but this is the answer I'm giving. Because again, I don't know what's going to happen at 10. What if I have an emergency? What if, one of my cat falls and I got to take it to the hospital? Like, I just can't commit to anybody anymore. And I just don't. I do my life coaching sessions because they need me, of course, that I'm never going to, get distracted by that. But let's say if I can't make the video in the morning, then I'll make it at night. If I can't, shoot on a Monday, I'll shoot on Tuesday. Don't stress because a lot of our energy goes into worrying. What could have happened, but it didn't happen. What should have happened if I would have prepared better. Yeah, but you didn't. So don't worry about it. Just be in the moment and be fully aware of what happened and how you could have solved it, but don't let it linger. Like that, the next opportunity comes, now you act on it. You do whatever you didn't do on the last opportunity. Because trust me, opportunities come all the time. And let me be the one vouching for you. I used to jump from jobs to jobs because I was like, what do you mean a raise of 50 cents? Well, I got to work a whole year for this company, or basically all the companies, to give me 2 weeks off. And not only that's all I get, but like a year or 2 years later, I get 50 cents. No, I would just quit. I'm out. Go to the next job, hire yourself for more money, and then there's your raise. I'm not going to wait for that person to give me 50 cents. I'm going to go find another job and I'm going to slap $2 on my salary because that's what I want. So again, be yourself until the environment doesn't fit you anymore. And if the environment doesn't fit you, don't change yourself. Change the environment. Stay authentic to yourself. Change the environment because again, I promise you another opportunity will come. Another one will come. If you don't shoo this one away, it's not going to come. So you have to shoo this one away. Shoo this opportunity away, and then I have another one to come. And on this one, you can practice better. You can be like, you know what? I'm going to watch out for this one. I'm going to, not miss what I missed on the last one. Opportunities come a million times a day. You just have to select the ones you want. And don't be shy saying, you know what, this environment doesn't fit my naturalness. It doesn't fit my authenticity. I'm going to steer some buckets here. Let me just walk away and find an environment that's better. So again, you fit your own naturalness and then have the environment change. You don't change for the environment like we normally do. So wonderful, wonderful CD. Again, one that everyone can relate because either we're in today's world narcissistic or we're just self-denial. So either we're denying ourselves or we're narcissistic. So this self-obsession is eventually going to kick us to naturalness. And once everyone's natural, then we can hit the city level of simply being. And then we'll finally be human beings. Bravo, bravo. Love the city. Wonderful city. We made it to number 10. I'm really happy about it. I look forward to the next one. Just heads up, Gene Key number 11. I might be a little late. I'm going to a retreat for 4 days. So I'm going to be back after October 20, and then I'm going to continue my Gene Keys. So again, I'm really, really trying to do this very, very routinely every week. But again, certain things happen out of my control. Things that, have priorities, clients that need me. So I do take care of my clients first. It definitely, the first thing I take care of is my clients, and then the video comes after. So again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for being interested in this material so that we can raise everyone's awareness. Although we just learned that even the game of evolution is a game, and we should simply let that one go. And that one is probably a little sign from the universe for me to not take evolution so seriously and just accept people the way they are and the level they're at and just have fun with it and not be so critical of myself or of others and wondering why we're not at the level of where we should be as humanity, because again, even evolution is part of the plan. So just like a child that has to learn to walk before it can run, we got to learn to hate before we can love. So it's all a learning curve. And I can see with, unfortunately what's happening in the world, everyone's fed up. Everyone's fed up. And even now it's like, oh, not again. Oh, please God, not again. Not another one. So as you can see, we're at that level. Now it's not just one kind of people defending themselves, because that's normally what's happening. One country gets attacked and only those people from those countries are, saying something and everyone else is watching. Now this time everyone's fed up. Even if you're not part of that part of the world, I'm pretty sure you're like, what the hell's going on? It's enough. It's enough. So, we're getting there. Evolution is a wonderful measuring tool, even though we don't even need it. Wonderful, Gene Key. So again, thank you. Subscribe if you comment if you like it if you like. So thank you very much. God bless every single one of you, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.